You ever notice when you rewatch a comedy movie, how it was just as good as the first time? Most people think this is just because they're funny or because they provide a sense of nostalgia, but these explanations alone don't hold up. Even as someone who's obsessed with comedy movies, I didn't even know why they work so well on repeat. So I went back, rewatched a ton of my favorites, and took note of what was going on. You're not only gonna see how comedy movies dominate our day-to-day lives, but also how they function differently from literally every other genre. And by the end of this video, you may never rewatch a comedy movie the same way again. What if I told you one of the reasons why you can't stop rewatching the same comedy movies has less to do with the actual movies and more to do with how they've permanently worked their way into our culture? Do you remember the last time you heard someone say,
"I'll have what she's having"?
Or anyone who's gone to high school is familiar with this term?
I took some MILF.
What the hell is that?
MILF. Mom, I'd like to f***.
Or if you're a golfer.
Son of a ball, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Or an Uber driver.
Sorry, your seatbelt seems to be broken. What do you recommend I do?
I recommend you stop being such a fat.
Okay, maybe not that last one. But do you notice how this almost never happens with other genres? Like, have you actually ever heard someone say,
"May the force be with you,"
or,
"You're gonna need a bigger boat"?
And The Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies of all time, but no sane person actually talks like this.
See, madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
But it goes beyond quoting in real life, because even though these are frequently used as GIFs or memes, literally everyone's familiar with,
"So you're telling me there's a chance?"
And everyone knows. And even though I personally can't stand this movie, I still can't deny the prestige of,
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
But what's even more crazy is it's not just the people that we interact with, because when you walk around in public today, you can still see people wearing McLovin and Vote for Pedro shirts. The point is, comedy movies are literally everywhere, and we're constantly being reminded of these films and rewatching them for the very reason that we fell in love with them originally. But have you ever noticed how rewatching a comedy movie is almost like rewatching it for the first time all over again? When you think of Superbad, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably the recently mentioned McLovin or buying booze. But do you remember?
Oh no, it's the cops!
What about the Hangover? Probably the GIF or...
Do I have any volunteers who want to come up here and do some shooting, huh? Not you, fat Jesus.
But what about...
It's not illegal, it's frowned upon, like on an airplane.
Pretty sure that's illegal too.
Yeah, maybe after 9/11 where everybody gets so sensitive.
Or...
She is wearing my grandmother's ring.
What?
My grandmother's Holocaust ring.
I didn't know they give out rings at the Holocaust.
And for wedding crashers, it's probably...
You know what? I will have some meatloaf. Let's have some meatloaf. You want some? Yes. I need to. Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now!
Or...
You motorboating son of a bitch, you old sailor, you.
But how many of you remember...
I don't like the feeling. You're sitting there, you're wondering, do I have food on my face? Am I eating? Am I talking too much? Are they talking enough? Am I interested? I'm not really interested. Should I play like I'm interested, but I'm not that interested? But I think she might be interested, but do I want to be interested? But now she's not interested. So now all of a sudden I'm starting to get interested.
And I only bring up these examples because I'm just as guilty, as each of these moments are things that I personally forgot about, but easily could have led to noise complaints because I was laughing so hard upon rewatch. And that's the unique reward of rewatching comedy movies. Amidst all of the iconic moments, there are a ton of hidden gem little moments that you forgot about. But this next one is probably the single biggest reason why you're drawn to comedy over literally every other type of movie. So let's look at the other genres. With horror, you're frequently running from a serial killer that isn't even human, or you're fighting ghosts and other fictional villains. But when was the last time you actually had to do this in real life? Or with action, you're trying to save the world, kill your enemies, and or rescue someone or something. And if you're not a high-ranking police officer, military, mercenary, or straight-up superhero, you probably don't have much experience with this. And then of course there are sci-fi and fantasy movies that fundamentally center around things that are impossible to replicate in the real world. But what do our favorite comedy movies center around? High school, college, jobs we hate, relationships, and so many experiences that make us human. Comedy movies not only give us the opportunity to see ourselves, our friends, our family, and even our enemies portrayed on screen, but also gives us straight up familiar worlds and makes sense in light of our day-to-day lives. And you might be thinking, what about drama? don't those movies show us ourselves and the world around us? And that's a fair counterpoint. Movies like $1 Million Baby, Requiem for a Dream, and The Boy in Striped Pajamas are phenomenal. But there's this issue that these movies follow storylines such as someone lobbying for assisted suicide after becoming a quadriplegic, lives and relationships deteriorating thanks to addiction, and a realistic depiction of the Holocaust. And who the hell wants to rewatch that over and over again when you could instead watch something hilarious with an ending that uplifts you? And while the relatability and positivity of comedies may be the single biggest reason we're drawn to them, this final reason forever protects the rewatchability of comedy movies. And just a fair warning, I'm about to spoil The Sixth Sense, Shutter Island, and Fight Club. But is The Sixth Sense ever the same when you go in knowing Bruce Willis was dead the whole time? Or that Leonardo DiCaprio was secretly a mental patient? Or that Tyler Durden and the narrator are the same exact guy? You really lose that childlike wonder, and the movies are never as good as new. In fact, at best, the twist is on the back of your mind the entire time you rewatch the movie, and at worst, it's literally the only thing you can think about. But I can't think of a single comedy movie that I love that has one of these sorts of endings. Hell, I feel like if it's even been a couple of years, I genuinely don't even remember the ending of most comedy movies. Whether it's Wedding Crashers, Superbad, Role Models, or Dodgeball, you're never distracted by an inevitable groundbreaking twist or looking for puzzle pieces along the way. But you know what else the movies I just listed have in common? Literally none of them get made if it weren't for the success of American Pie. And I break down exactly why this is here.